For all the timeless charm of setting a dude on fire, blowing his legs off with the shotgun, and chucking the screaming leftovers into a lion pen, on occasion I find myself craving a more refined sort of fantasy fulfillment. The sort where I slink into a locked down complex and escape without a single grunt getting a whiff of my aftershave. Yes, stealth games are an acquired taste indeed, and harder to pull off than a perfect heist. These are, in no particular order, my favourite sneaky games and why I love them. Don a stylish hood and pickpocket your way through a steampunk world. Often hailed as the greatest installment in a great series, Thief 2 built on the original's potential and skimmed away the bits that didn't work. Each level is a playground, letting you navigate the gothic landscape in all manner of stealthy ways. Garrett's not much good in a fair fight, but he's nimble as a fox and snarky as a badger. The optional objectives provide extra loot, which you'll need to afford the handy toys to make your life easier later on, and exploring the world is already rewarding in itself. In many ways, Thief 2 established the template for what I consider ideal stealth mechanics, and it's tragic the lessons it offers haven't been broadcast as widely as they could be. Unravel a sinister scheme by throwing TNT at people. This is bending the rules a bit, since Deus Ex is built to allow explosive gunplay if desired, but I've always thought Iron Storm's cyberpunk conspiracy simulator felt more at home with a stealthy approach. While the sneaking might be a bit primitive in places, the huge arsenal of gadgets and abilities allow for all manner of mischief. If anything, the technical limitations only add to the charm, and Eidos Montreal's recent follow-up was missing something in the stealth department. Over a decade since Deus Ex's release, people are still finding new and exciting ways to abuse NSF troops. Control that evil dude from Total Recall as he embarks on one of his Tom Clancy fantasies. Splinter Cell had been enjoyable from the beginning, but Chaos Theory really felt like when the series figured out what it was best at. The merciless and slightly buggy alarm system was reworked, permitting a degree of sloppiness while still punishing outright failure. Levels were made a tad more open, and no longer felt like there was a single correct way of approaching them. And a strangely underrated addition was the sound meter, which displayed exactly how much sound you were making, as well as any background noise that could conceal your movements, a feature I wish many other stealth games could consider. Splinter Cell has since jettisoned any pretenses of stealth in recent years, but Chaos Theory at least exploited the series' potential while it still existed. Stalk your prey through the forest, using camouflage and wits to outsmart the enemy. Easily my favourite of Mr. Kojima's flagship franchise, Snake Eater has the same kind of intelligent story, told through excessive cutscenes that fans are used to, but the arguably lacking gameplay was revolutionised. Relying on camouflage and extreme patience, you have to traverse a jungle of sharp-eyed guards, cunning traps, and hungry critters. The mechanics have a nasty learning curve and retain some clunkiness, but at its core, Snake Eater offers a rewarding stealth system not easily compared to any other. The plot, too, is of a more manageable scale than the postmodern odyssey that MGS2 presented, if still terribly overwritten. Metal Gear has since become overly self-indulgent, I think, but Snake Eater remains unsullied by the sins of its father. Master the art of hiding in plain sight and assassinate targets, leaving as little evidence as you dare. While I must concede that Blood Money marked a clear mechanical improvement in several respects, I first fell in love with contracts. The thrill of planning a flawless murder is worryingly intense, and while iffy AI can cause some frustration, the payoff is always worth it. Contracts also makes many of its levels memorable for their weird characters and stories as much as the strategies they require, which the more America-focused sequel kinda lost. Not particularly noob-friendly and sure to induce much rage, but Hitman is a must-try for any stealth fan. Lastly, this hugely underrated Looney Tunes adventure sees you stealing mutton from an extremely angry dog. Blending stealth and puzzle solving like nothing I've ever seen, the game's cartoonish style goes beyond the charming visuals, employing the sort of logic one would expect from the source material. Every level builds on the formula, adding some new element to ramp up the challenge. And challenge is the right word, since the game only holds your hand so long. It is kinda depressing that a game about stealing cartoon sheep has more depth to its stealth than the entire Assassin's Creed franchise, but it's up to you to spread the word of this tragically obscure gem. Thus concludes my little list. Maybe you've been introduced to something new and intriguing, or just reminded of good times in the past. Either way, this being the internet, let's take a moment to remember that if everybody had the same opinion, the world would be considerably duller. Feel free to share your favourites too. Happy sleuthing, and hope you enjoyed. Each level is a playground, letting you navigate the immersive steampunk world in all manner of stealthy bugger.